Stasjulesvich from the Soviet Union.
She's 19 years old. She's doing an inward 1.5 somersaults pike, the same dive as Lee Hunson just did. That was really beautiful, too. You see those two bubbles come up on either side are caused by her swimming the entry. That's how she gets that rip. No water thrown at all.
Excellent scores. Everybody gives her 8.
Angela was less than 1 point behind Michele in the Fort Lauderdale International meet just a few weeks ago. I think Angela is going to push Michele. Michelle's going to push Angela. It's going to come down to the last round. It's going to be great.
Of course, Wendy Wyland could be up there as well. Wendy won the bronze medal in the '84 Olympics. Michele won the silver.
Wendy's been diving very consistently, too.
Silke Abicht from East Germany, 17 years old.
Doing a forward 1.5 somersaults pike. Kind of interesting that she's doing it standing. Most people take an approach to the end of the tower. That's a little bit short of vertical, but a nice soft entry. She didn't throw very much water. That's what they want to do.
In 1986, this past year in the national championships, she finished second for East Germany. And the judge give her ranging their scores from 6.5 to 7.5. They throw out the top, the high and the low, and they average the rest.
See her grab her hands there, stretch for the entry. That tape is not because of an injury. That tape provides support. It's almost a preventative kind of thing because wrists are a very common injury for tower divers.
Kana Novotna from Czechoslovakia.
She's doing a back dive pike, degree difficulty 1.8. She's going to swing her arms up and her toes are going to come up to her fingers, then she's going to lay back and look for the water. Pretty nice dive. These first rounds, I love the first 4 rounds because the required dives get the greatest entries. The optional rounds, they get a little more tentative.
Kana is the 1985 European Cup champion.
Up, touches her toes, leaves her feet right where they should be. She let them drop just a little bit, so when she reached back to stretch, she was a little arched.
A tremendous field today. Wendy Wyland is up next from the United States. She's 22 years old.
Wendy's doing an inward 1.5 somersaults pike. She's going to throw her arms down toward the tower. Her hips will come up and she'll spin 1.5 times toward the tower. It was a nice dive. It was also a little short of vertical. She threw more water than some of the other girls have been doing. Wendy sometimes has a tendency to start off a little bit tentatively. She's a very, very competitive boy. When she wants something, she goes for it. I hope she's... So you look for the water, line up, leave it just a little bit short of vertical, but it's a good start.
And there's the scores for Wendy Wyland, ranging, as you see, from 7s to 7.5. ELke Heindricks from West Germany. She's won 25 medals in German competitions since 1981.
She's doing a forward 1.5 somersaults pike also. Also standing. That was a little bit short of vertical. She throws a little more water than some of the other girls do.
ELke's 21 years old. To improve her diving, she trained with Mike Brown at the Longhorn Diving Club a year ago in the United States.
She said you learn to be picky with yourself in America. In Germany, the coach has to tell you much more. She's not too tight in that pike right there. You want to put your nose right on your knee. She was a little open in the pike. Threw a little too much water on the entry.
And you see the scores range from 6 to 7. Up next is Guan Xevaton, 13 years old, from China.
Whoa, did you see that entry? You can't even see it. It's absolutely unbelievable. The Chinese women, girls, she's only 13 years old, but they have such an unbelievable amount of talent. Watch as she bows. The Chinese team takes a bow to the audience, or the people in the stands after every dive. Look at these lines. I mean, you can't get any straighter than that.
And her scores go all the way up to 8.5. That was a tremendous dive for Guan Xevaton from China.
Chinese are going to put the pressure on the entire field today.
A tremendous field, so much talent. This is Olga Blinova, 16 years old, from the Soviet Union.
She's doing a forward 1.5 somersaults pike, same dive. Nice dive. It's straight in. It started to move a little bit past vertical, but it was a nice clean entry. See the differences in the style between the Soviets and the Chinese. Olga's nickname is Blinchik. It means little pancake because her name sounds like the dessert. She starts the somersault, and she has her arms way out, kind of behind her. Different stylistic difference. Pretty much straight in, a nice dive.
And her scores, as you see, ranging all the way up to 7.5 and 8. Michele Mitchell from the United States, 24 years old, the defending national champion in the 3-meter and 10-meter events.
She's doing an inward 1.5 somersaults pike, 2.0. Michele has been diving extremely well. In the last 2 competitions with the Soviets, she's won 1 meet, and Angela's won 1 meet, and see what's going to happen. It's going to come down to the last dive. That was very nice. She's really up for this contest today.
You mentioned the rip entry, saying it sounds like a sheep being ripped.
Sounds like cloth ripping.
That was definitely your rip entry from Michele Mitchell.
Nice distance from the tower. It looks like her feet are close to the tower, but they're really not. It started to move a little bit past vertical, but she just creamed it on the end.
And you see her scores ranging from 7.5 to 8.5 for Michele Mitchell. And here are the standings after the first round. The leader is Michele Mitchell from the United States. In second place, Angela Stasjulesvich of the Soviet Union, and Wendy Wyland of the United States is in third. But a very close competition. This is our leader, Angela Stasjulesvich from the Soviet Union.
What a jump. Boy, you can hear her hit the end of the tower. She just popped that right up in the air. She's a little short of vertical, but it was a really nice entry.
7.5, 8s from the judges in that dive. So Angela Stasjulesvich, our leader.
See how high she was? She jumped on the tower. She jumped on the end. She just popped it. You know, she's not afraid to do anything. There's a lot of divers that figure they're up 10 meters already. They really don't want to deal with anything higher. They don't jump too well.
Silke Abicht in 4th place from East Germany. Why do they take the shower all the time?
Stay warm. It's cold in here to them because of the windows and the air drafts. Keeps their muscles warm and loose.
Silke is 17 years old.
She's doing a back 1.5 somersaults with a half twist. Ooh,
very nice.
That was nice too. It's a little bit short of vertical, but a very nice dive. Oh, look at her tapes coming off when she's swimming out.
7.5, 8s, 8.5 from judges. That degree of difficulty is 2.1.
Well, when she does this dive, she swings her arms up and just kind of looks around and does a 1.5 instead. She goes forward last minute, lines up a little short of vertical, but a very nice dive. This is already the 4th round. These meets go so fast, and then really the competitor that's got the best mental attitude going into this meet is the one that's really going to come out on top. Because at this point, it's 90% mental.
Kana Novotna from Czechoslovakia, forward 2.5 on a pike.
She was a little short of vertical also and missed the entry a little bit. I don't know what she did. It started to rip and have that nice sound and be real clean, but then she ended up throwing a good bit of water.
Kana is 21 years old, 5'5".
She should be a little bit tighter in the pike there. You want to have your nose right on your knees. When she lets go and lines up, you can see, I don't know what was happening underwater there. You're allowed to do things underwater to give the appearance of the dive going in vertically, and the judges do not take off for what you do underwater.
Wendy Wyland has dropped into 6th place for the United States. This is a forward 1.5 with a twist.
Pretty nice dive, Wendy. First 4 rounds are really just sort of get a pace going. I'm not worried about, you shouldn't really worry about what place you're in after 4 dives, because the next 4 are really the ones that count.
And the standings are very, very close. She gets 7s, 7.5s from all of the judges. And that degree of difficulty was 2.1, so that should move Wendy up.
Nice dive. You see her when she started the twist, she wraps her arms across her chest, squares out and goes in. Straight up and down. Nice dive.
ELke Heindricks from West Germany. She's going to be doing a forward 1.5 with a twist, the same dive that we just saw Wendy do.
It's kind of nice to follow someone who's doing the same dive because it really sets you up in terms of judging. If you do it better, they can't help but go higher. And she starts with her arms out to the side, starts the twist, squares out with her arms to the side and then goes straight in.
Kicked up quite a bit of water there at the end.
Yep, she didn't have a hold of her hands very well when she went in, I think. I don't know. I think she was moving around too much underwater.
And the scores are not as good as Wendy's, 6, 6.5.
See, she'll cross her arms across her chest, put her arms out to the side to stop the twisting action, looking at the water, getting ready to line up. No, she got her hands. She was just not in line. You want your arms right over your ears when you line up. Straight up and absolutely straight as you can be. Now, Guan is doing a reverse dive pike. She's going to swing her arms up. Her feet are going to come up to her hands. She's going to lay back and look at the water. Look at her, how straight she is. Oh. I thought she had that nailed. She was just a little sort of vertical when she hit the water, but see, you can't even hear her going in the water. It just goes whoop.
And she gets 7s from most of the judges on that dive. Xevaton. We talked about the girls. The tallest girl in this competition is just 5'5".
Mm-hmm.
I guess when you have to do that many somersaults and all, if you have long legs, you don't have as much room to get them through. But
that's why I never did any inward 2.5 pikes. If I'd tried to do that, I would have landed on the tower from my knees down.
Olga Blinova of the Soviet Union.
Forward 1.5 somersaults with 1 twist. Nice twist action. A little sort of vertical, but a really beautiful entry. Really beautiful entry. Forward 1.5 somersaults with 1 twist. It's really easy to see the differences in style between the Soviet, the Chinese, and the American.
And she gets 7.5. So what is that difference? And why?
Sometimes, well, let's see what she does here. She goes straight into the twist, and then her arms come out to the side to stop the twist. She's looking at the water to line up. The Americans tend to start the somersault first before the twist. Your arms come out to the side, then twist, then out to the side.
Michele Mitchell of the United States doing a back 1.5 in the straight position.
This is a beautiful dive for Michele. She's going to swing her arms up, never move. She's going to stay straight the entire time. Oh, no. Gee, she missed that on 3m2, and that's one of her best dives. She went way past vertical on that.
Degree of difficulty is 2.4, very difficult dive.
Well, it started off nice. It was moving a little bit too fast for her. And she swings her arms up, starts the somersault. Right there, she should have been reaching back for the water a little earlier to try to stop the somersault. She went past vertical and through too much water.
Got 5.5 from most of the judges, so not a good dive for Michele.
Well, it might be good for her going into the optional rounds. Put a little spark in her performance today.
And that concludes our compulsory dives. At the halfway mark, the leader is Stasjulesvich of the Soviet Union. For the United States, Wendy Wyland is in 6th place. Michele Mitchell is in 7th. But plenty of action still to follow from the Olympic Sports Center.
Angela's doing also an inward 2.5 somersaults pike.
This is Stasjulesvich.
She only was second behind Michele by less than a point from the last time they competed against each other.
Oh,
whoa!
Wow.
That was so nice.
That was a tremendous dive.
Spinning a little bit slower than the one we saw Lee Hunsin do, but it was absolutely, totally controlled. Wonderful entry, no water thrown.
And the judges give her 8.5.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this entry. Keep waiting for her to go in. She's already gone. There's no water there. They have sprays that are underneath the 10-meter. It's like a hose. It squirts water out across the surface so that you can have some surface tension so that you can see the water when you go to line up. Otherwise, you see the bottom of the pool, and if you're 33 feet up and you've got 19 feet of water, it can look like very hot. But you don't want to miss your hands from 10-meter when you line up.
Silke Abicht from East Germany. An inward 3.5 in the tuck position.
Inward 2.5. Oh, I'm sorry. Inward 3.5. You're right. The women have just started doing this dive in the last, I would say, year. It's a little sort of vertical.
Maybe she should have done the 2.5.
She didn't have enough somersaults. That's a lot of dives.
The degree of difficulty is 3.2.
3.5 is the highest degree of difficulty there is.
There are 120 different dives that are recognized by the World Federation. Are they coming up with new ones all the time?
Well, every time I come to watch a workout, they've got another somersault or another twist on the dives I used to do. Too much. I don't know. It worries me a little bit in terms of age group diving and children starting to dive, because I don't want to see people trying to do dives that are too difficult for them too soon and getting hurt or getting burnt out with a sport.
Kana Novotna from Czechoslovakia.
For 3.5 somersault tucks, nice dive, straight in, but a little bit heavy on the entry. In other words, do a little bit too much water. It was a nice dive.
You mentioned that Kana is the tallest of the girls at 5'5".
She gets into a nice tight tuck there, looks at the water when she kicks out, and just doesn't really stay tight on the end. That causes you to throw a lot of water. You want to be absolutely every muscle as tight as you can get it.
Wendy Wyland from the United States in 6th place after the first 4 rounds, doing an inward 2.5 in the pike position. The degree of difficulty for Wendy is 2.8.
This is a good dive for Wendy. She's going to spin toward the tower 2.5 times. Never has any problem with this dive. Wendy never has problems with any of her dives. The only times that she doesn't do as well as she's capable of doing is when her attitude is not right where it ought to be.
She's been diving since she was 9 years old. She's now 22.
She left home at 14 to train with Ron O'Brien. She moved to California and now they've moved to Florida. Little pass vertical, but a very nice dive for Wendy. She didn't throw too much water. It was a nice entry. Boy, the entries are so important, especially from 10 meter, because that's the last thing the judges see before they score. Nice tight pike. Looked at the water. Well, she wasn't that far over.
No, 7.5 from the judges.
I would have thought she would have gotten a little more than that.
The degree of difficulty on that was 2.8, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough dive.
Well, I was saying that Wendy left home at 14. There's a lot of sacrifice involved to get to where these women are in the sport, you know, a lot of sacrifice. Athletes really aren't the only ones to sacrifice. The families do, too. I mean, my mother has driven hundreds of thousands of miles to get me to workouts. My poor sisters spent all of their spring breaks on strange pool decks.
ELke Heindricks from West Germany doing the same dive that we just saw Wendy do.
And we're 2.5 somersault pike. ELke's a really strong diver. Look at the concentration, pretty intense. She backed away from the tower a little bit with her hips. It made it difficult to get to the 2.5 somersault. If you're spinning toward the tower, you don't want to start the action by moving too far back with your hips.
Our judges today are from the Soviet Union, the United States, China, East Germany, Bulgaria, West Germany, and Mexico.
See, she leaves it just a little bit short of vertical because she didn't have that momentum she needed off the tower.
Guan Xevaton, a forward 1.5 with 3 twists. Now, you said that the Chinese sometimes have trouble with the twists. She's going to try 3 of them.
Yeah, they do. She doesn't. She looks so young. Well, she is so young. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing a triple twister from 10 meter when I was 13 years old. I mean, the only thing I can figure, she doesn't really know what she's doing yet. She's too young to know better.
And of course, it's her coach watching.
Whoa. Whoa.
She hit it.
She had a curious little hop in her approach out to the end of the tower, but man, she hits it hard. You can hear her pop off the tower. It was a nice dive. It's a little bit short of vertical.
Her coach is very pleased with it.
Watch this little hop. Beep.
And the judges give her 7.5 and 8. A good dive for Gwen Xevaton, who's just 13 years old, but among our leaders here today.
Wow. To be this competitive at that age is absolutely unbelievable.
There's no substitute for experience, and she's going to have plenty of it by the time...
Well, she may have been diving since she was 3. You never know.
I'm sure we'll see her at the next Goodwill Games. Olga Blinova from the Soviet Union doing a back 2.5.
pike position. This is a really hard dive for women to do also. It's really difficult to spin backwards. Get your legs up in front of you in pike position. It's hard to get your legs up on this dive.
Degree of difficulty 2.9.
Takes a deep breath before she goes. Whoa! Wow! Gee!
The crowd loved that one.
You can't do that any better. I mean, you sure can't do a better entry than that. She could have gotten a little more jump from the tower and gone a little higher in the air, but, I mean...
The scores ranging from a 7.5 up to a 9. A 7.5 from the West German judge, a 9 that time from the Mexican judge.
That's unbelievable. I guess that... Only thing I can see is that she didn't get as strong a jump as she could have. But her entry... I mean, where was it?
Michele Mitchell from the United States dropped to 7th place. She was our leader after 2 rounds.
It's all right. She's got time to make it up.
She's about 20 points behind Angela Stasjulesvich.
Easy to make up.
And Michele is going to do another arm stand. She had a little bit of trouble with the first one.
Well, her arm stand is actually very steady. And at this point right now, because she missed that last dive, she's an aggressive competitor and she knows what she's got to do. Oh, man. Makes me nervous now. Her feet are not quite up where they should be.
She's holding it for 3 seconds, though.
Kip off the tower, line up. That nice dive. Really a nice dive. It scared me, though. Her feet didn't look like they were all the way vertical in her arm stand. I was afraid that, you know, it's hard to get the action off the tower that you need to kip when your feet are a little bit short of where they should be.
Scores ranging from a 7 to an 8. And here are the standings after the first 5 rounds. The leader continues to be Angela Stasjulesvich of the Soviet Union. Wendy Wyland of the United States is in 4th place, and Michele Mitchell is in 6th. The leader, Angela Stasjulesvich, here in the 7th round is doing what is called a 614B. The 6 means it's an arm stand, and she says this is her favorite dive.
Arm stand forward, double somersault in pike position. It's called a double, even because she's going from her head to her head. You would think a double would be feet first dive, but because she's starting from her hands,
she'll end up on her hands.
What an awesome arm stand. She's ending up on her hands. It's a really nice dive.
And there's the 2 bubbles on both sides as she goes into the water.
Right? She was moving around a little bit on the entry. She wasn't perfectly solid when she hit the water. But it was a nice dive.
And the scoring ranging from mostly 8-1-9 for Angela Stasjulesvich.
She lets her feet fall past vertical. Just grabs her feet and looks at the water. Pretty unbelievably great dive.
And as our leader, with fine scores in the 8s and 9 ranges, Angela Stasjulesvich starting to move out a little bit. She held a 33-point lead at the end of the first 6 rounds. Wendy Wyland of the United States in 3rd place.
Wendy's doing a reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck, and she has got to hit this dive.
Wendy trying to get into the medals in 3rd place. Kent Ferguson of the United States won a silver in the men's 3-meter.
And Wendy's going to swing her arms up. Her knees are going to come up to her hands, and she's going to spin backward toward the tower 2.5 times. Oh, no. She left that short of vertical. That's not good. She needed a better dive than that. It looked like she had a pretty good jump. Nope, she scooted away from the tower a little bit. When she kicked out, she kicked her feet down too low. She should have kicked the feet up toward the ceiling more.
Guan Xevaton, our 13-year-old Chinese girl, back 2.5 pike.
Talk about springs in your ankles. This little gal, you can't tell how small she really is until you see her stand next to somebody else. She is so teeny. Wow.
Ooh.
Look at that jump. I mean, she has to almost let go before she comes to a double, so she doesn't go over. That time she came out a little bit too soon and ended up short of vertical. But look at this jump.
She weighs about 90 pounds.
I mean, look. She has to let her feet go when they're pointing at the pool and then just kind of try to control the rest around.
That was a difficult dive, and she gets good scores.
I'll bet she weighs about 65. I don't think she weighs 80. So she's going to be somebody to really...
About 4 feet 10 inches, weighs about 85 pounds.
She's going to be somebody to really watch in the next few years.
Olga Blinova, the Soviet Union, currently in second place.
Olga's doing a reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck, 2.7. This is her favorite dive.
She was 33 points behind her teammate, Angela Stasjulesvich, going into this round.
Well, this will just almost clinch it if she hits it.
Oh,
my God! Well, I think she hit it. I think she hit that. That was a great jump, and that was absolutely beautiful inches. You can't do that dive much better than that. Everybody's likes it.
Her coach likes it, that's for sure.
Watch this. She swings her arms up. Wow. And the nice tight tuck. She split a little bit. You don't see that from the side. But look at how flat she is when she lines up and goes in. There is absolutely no splash at all. 9.5.
Great for our judging, too. As you see, 9.5 from everybody except the Soviet Union judge, and he gave her a 9. So.
Yeah, but he gets marked out.
That's right. Fair scoring.
Mark Cookie. That was so beautiful.
Excellent dive for Olga Blinova, the Soviet Union.
Oh, boy, that puts the pressure on Michele.
Michele Mitchell of the United States was only 10 points behind Olga going into this 7th round. But after seeing those scores, she's going to have to hit this back 1.5 with 3.5 twists. This is a beautiful dive to watch.
Michele does this dive very well. It's very difficult, and she hasn't been doing it that long. But she's very confident with this dive. And she should be pretty pumped up right now. When you have to stand on the 10-meter and listen to scores like that and listen to all the people in these stands, that we have a great crowd.
It's a 4-time All-American from the University of Arizona.
Oh. Ooh. Nice dive. She finished that dive very high. It's really unusual for a woman to complete that dive and complete 3.5 twists that high in the air. She didn't have that wonderful wrist entry, but it was a nice dive. I'm 7.5.
7.5 and 8 from the judges.
I thought she'd get higher scores than that. See, she was... I was thinking maybe that she was a little short or a little past the twist, but it looked pretty much right on to me. I don't know why she didn't
Now we can see we've moved up in the scoring, though, because a lot of the girls in that 7th round had difficult times. That concludes our 7th round. Just one round remains. Angela Stasjulesvich of the Soviet Union is the leader. Her teammate Olga Blinova is in 2nd place. Michele Mitchell of the United States has moved into 3rd. Wendy Wyland is in 5th. One round remains. It should be an exciting one. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more Turner.
Stasjulesvich, the leader, doing a forward 3.5 in the tuck position.
She's got to be feeling pretty good right now. Home court advantage, you know.
There's her final dive.
Oh, no! Did you see the water come flying up after her?
Yeah.
When she went in? That's because it followed her in the first part.
That was unbelievable.
Wow, that was unbelievable. She gets such a powerful jump from the tower. It makes such a great sound when she hits the end. Oh, we got a 10.
Our first 10 goes to Angela Stasjulesvich, our leader. That is from the West German judge.
Nice tight tuck.
This is beautiful.
Out. And there's nothing happening now. You can't go in straighter. You can't make
splash that time. For Angela Stasjulesvich, that is a degree of difficulty of 2.7. With scores like that, she's going to be tough to catch.
I don't think anybody can catch her right now.
A tremendous dive.
Ho-hum. Another fabulous list I've put together again today.
Silke Abicht from East Germany.
Here's her teammate.
Wendy Wyland in 5th place, but still in the running for a medal.
Back 2.5 somersaults pike for all the cookies. She's got to hit this.
Degree of difficulty is 2.9.
Wendy is such an intense competitor. When she's on, boy, she's tough to beat. A nice dive. It was a little bit short of vertical, but it was a wonderful dive. Didn't get that great sound.
Mike Finnernan and Tom Rich, our coaches, standing by as Wendy Wyland concludes her performance with a fine dive.
It was a very nice dive.
Consistent scoring, 7.5 from each of the 7 judges.
I think they've been a little low today on the American girls. I think the judges have been a little low. It's always interesting to see the judges' analysis before a judge is over. They break down and they can see what coach had who in first through sixth. Has provided some extremely embarrassing moments in the history of the diving world.
ELke Heindricks from West Germany in 8th place, concluding with a forward 3.5 in the pike position.
A lot of dive.
Degree of difficulty is 3.0.
She's got to get a good pop off the end of the tower. Oh.
Didn't have time to line that up.
No, she took the whole 10 meters to do that dive. You want to try to finish a little higher than that, so you do have time for it.
Here's this view. It looks all right here until you look down and see how far up you really are.
Well, see, she's only completed a double by the time she's... Oh.
That's interesting to watch that, and then we watched the 13-year-old Guan Xevaton spin so quickly, and she had 2.5 of those somersaults done by the time she got to the lower board. Gwen Xevaton, we're going to see right here, doing a forward 3.5.
Same dive.
The pike.
Same dive. This will be a great comparison. I mean, I just can't imagine her coach saying, okay, Guan, 3.5 pike, and her saying, okay, no problem.
No problem.
Oh.
Look how quickly
I don't believe that either. I mean, look how she can't control the end. She goes over on it. What a beautiful, beautiful. She has really pretty lines. Great legs, great toes, wonderful extension when she's in the air.
Natural and graceful body lines, I would think, would earn high marks from the judges just because you look so pretty up there.
Look at her pike. See her legs, how straight, and her toes are really beautiful. When she comes out, I mean, she's even got time to put her arms out to the side to try to stop it. Just unbelievable. She's going to be somebody to really watch.
Olga Blinova of the Soviet Union in 2nd place, chasing her teammate Angela Stasjulesvich. But the degree of difficulty on this is just 2.6. It's an arm stand. She would have to get 10s on this to catch Angela.
Well, miracles have happened. It can be done. I've seen her do this dive for 9s. What blows my mind is this press up.
And there's her coach.
He's coaching her.
Man. That
Well,
is a tough dive.
That was a beautiful dive. She has to actually slow that down because she has such a wonderful arm stand and wonderful action off the tower. She had to slow it down, and then she actually left it short of vertical, overcorrected. It was a nice dive. She had time. See, a little arch when she went in. It was still a clean entry. It was a nice dive, though.
The scores are 6.5 up to an 8.
Well,
a low score from the United States judge at that time, but that score will be thrown out. They throw out the high and the low. Michele Mitchell of the United States concluding with an Edward 3.5 in a tuck position. She needs to get good scores to get a medal.
Yes, she does. She's got to hit this dive. Last meet Michele did this in. She absolutely drilled it. It's been a very good dive for her. She's going to spin 3.5 times toward the tower. Oh, she went just a little bit past vertical, and they're not going to give her the score she's going to need. She had a wonderful top. She had a nice clean entry.
And she watches the scores. They range from a 6.5 to 7.
Not enough. Nice top. Really nice top. Finishes it high. Just can't stop it on the end. Goes a little bit past vertical. I mean, in this meet, 7 is a miss.
That concludes our women's platform competition. The two Soviets get 1st and 2nd, Angela Stasjulesvich and Olga Blinova. The two Americans 3rd and 4th, Michele Mitchell and Wendy Wyland. So a bronze medal for Michele Mitchell of the United States.